Okay.
Welcome in. It is episode 125 here at pucksports.com on a Wednesday, and that means it is our good friend, the smiling Ryan Divish, with his Seattle Supersonics t-shirt on. It's all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941, located in wonderful Tacoma's Proctor District. Family owned and operated for 40 years. The Frederick family and staff specialize in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience while at their unique 12-lane facility. Go to chaletbowl.com to make your next reservations. For those listening, Ryan, what kind of t-shirt you got on there?
I got an NBA Jam, and it's got Peyton and Kemp on there from the old NBA Jam, the greatest video game of all time. Not on the PlayStation or the Sega Genesis or whatever, but in like the stand-up game. I got it from Homage. The shirts, I got several of those. They
Yeah.
actually sent me some stuff this year. I think they were looking for a little collaboration, hoping that they capitalize on my many Twitter followers that they didn't realize were all like porn bots. So, you know, but I gave all it was like some pretty cool Mariners gear. I gave it obviously to my girlfriend's kids, which they were happy about. But homage is really cool. Our buddy Chris DeWitt, who listens to this, so I'm giving him a shout out. He wears all that. He was so pissed this year that homage sent me a free box of gear when he has been buying stuff from them all the time, and he never gets the free gear. So
Sorry,
I should have
Chris.
just
God.
he's the best. So I owe those. I owe him and Joe a ton. Like Chris was really good to me. Chris and Joe have been really, and Billy, they've been really good to me during spring
So you
training.
got to tell people who they are.
So Chris DeWitt and Joe Van Vleck are the clubhouse managers for the Mariners, and they've been there forever, and now they've moved up, and I'll put Joe's sneaker game and his sneaker collection up against any pro athlete. It's pretty impressive. And Chris is a diehard Husky who I remember one time I was covering, or I went to a UW game and he was there. He goes all the UW hoops and football, and he loves the podcast. And
He's a great dude.
yeah,
Chris
so
is
those
great.
guys are great. Quick story: when I was in New York, and I got rained on a lot because I didn't understand how, I don't know, I was just stupid is what I was, basically on every level. My pants, my jeans were soaked all the way up, and my socks, shoes, coat that I brought, they were soaked. I mean, like, and so I went into the clubhouse. Joe gave me a pair of basketball shorts to wear, and they put all my clothes in a dryer. And so I'm sitting there doing the pregame interview with service and walking around in basketball shorts with no socks on and shoes. And like, yeah, it was. But anyways, yeah, it was not a good thing in New
You know
York. The
what?
rain was so bad. East Coast rain is different, and
Oh
I
yeah,
got
yeah,
caught in it. And it's and also not to mention like the rain from the street in New York as you're running, plus getting on you as well. Like, ugh, it's. I'm sure I
yeah.
smelt like a sewage
Oh, you
pit.
probably did. Well, because it's like sewer coming up. Can we share like what Chris's office looks like at T-Mobile, or is that like,
No, I mean it's
or is
just.
that like off limits? Because can I just tell you that the best thing about his office is that beer fridge.
Oh yeah,
Jesus, man,
yeah. It's like, and they have like,
it's like a mini Martin there.
yeah, it's got like all the Georgetown stuff, and then plus Modelo and stuff. Like I met
Yeah,
my buddy Brian's friend was one of the guys that handles like the Modelo and all that other stuff. The
great beer.
Yeah, all the beers that they brought in. Modelo, good golfing beer. We'll have to do a discussion of the
Oh,
golfing beer.
well, it's
Those guys from Bellbreaker haven't gotten back to me yet either. They said they were going to send me some stuff, and I
well,
never heard
okay.
from
The
them.
Bale Breaker, the Pilsner one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one.
it's the
Modelo
best
is a
golf.
great golf drinking beer.
Yeah, I think for like I've said this before, and I know we said it on here, but like for a golfing craft beer, the Bellbreaker Pilsner is
Oh,
probably
top
top
notch.
top craft beer in all of Washington. I can't think of a better one. It's light. It's got good flavor. I mean, like, and we've talked about going to the hot field. Like Garver is into beer. I'm hoping I told him all about it. It's not easy to get to Yak Vegas, but it is the Palm Springs of Washington, so you got to go.
It's not
And I mean,
that
like,
far. It's like 2 hours.
and I he grew up, or he went to college in New Mexico, stuff like that. I was like, if you want like legitimate Mexican cuisine, you go to a taco truck in Yakima because
Oh yeah.
that's where real tacos are.
Or just
It's
like
not
a
on
gas
Cap
station.
Hill. Okay. It's not
Like
with
a
some one word name. You go to a
just
truck or a gas station and they
yeah.
have the real stuff.
Unbelievable. I got like one of the best burritos ever. Just outside of Yakima, is it oh my god, what is it? Is it Wapato?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Some
And it's probably like
random gas
$4.
station. Oh, I don't. It probably wasn't even $4. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is unbelievable. And I'm like, did you make it's handmade tortillas? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I would drive 3 hours over here just to get this again. Thank
So
you.
like if you're going fancy tacos, like though my parents, the only reason I'm thinking of this is because my parents are going to Walla Walla for the first time on Sunday, I think. They're gonna be there for a week. And AK Mercado's the guy, the James Beard award winning chef that lives in Walla Walla, he
Right.
got rid of it and he built this. Their brisket taco is like the great, and like they have the good margaritas there. So a few years ago when we went to go see Turnpike Troubadours in Pendleton, we stayed in Walla Walla. Me and my buddy Brian and our buddy Isaac, and we we went and golfed the Walla Walla Muni, which is a nice little course. It was only like
That is.
$40 with cart. It's 80 degrees because it's always warm in Walla Walla in the summer. 80 degrees, and then we went to Mercado and ate tacos and drank margaritas till we couldn't even move. And then
Isn't that a perfect day?
and then even better. So then we get up, we walk around downtown, we hit this one kind of sports bar, but it was more of a soccer bar, so I don't call it a sports bar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, and then we stop and
You go to the Green
Ti-
Lantern.
no, Tim Heavley had told me about this sausage place that they have. That it's like a walk up sausage place. There's no indoor place. It's just a window, like you would get ice cream or coffee, but you can smell those bratwurst and Italian sausage is cooking on the
Really?
grill. And so we went. It's like I wasn't even hungry, but I'm like, you just smell it, so you're like, well, I got to eat one. So just like it was. There was pretty good days, and then we went to the concert that night. I don't have many good days like that in a while.
That's a full day is what that is. Yeah, the green. If anyone's ever going to Walla Walla, the Green Lantern is just a legendary bar that's been there forever.
Yeah,
Really,
I mean,
forever.
I told Stanton, and we saw him yesterday, but I've told him before that the one thing Walla Walla does lack is like a true sports bar, and there's a lot of like
Green
Cougars and
Lantern's a
like
good one though.
yeah.
It is the Lantern's a great one.
But if you
But
have,
I
yeah,
hear
like I
you.
told him like he should invest in that, and he said, well, why don't you run it then? Because he knows I used to work in a bar, and I was like, oh, you're just trying to get me off your ass, so I don't
Yeah.
write about you all the time.
Would
So
he take money from kids to make to own the bar?
oh, I
To
mean, like
start it, you think?
kids are kids. We don't like them anyways. There's bigger issues. That's in Walla Walla, the city of Seattle's. Like, just you got to move to Pierce County, Lakewood. Look at the thing they just opened up in Lakewood. Beautiful rec fields.
I'm in. All right,
Move down
so
south. Better golf courses down here too. I still don't
that's
know now that you're not having to commute into the city.
I'm
I mean, it
with you.
doesn't matter if Kaisa's,
I
like
should move.
yeah, it doesn't matter if your wife is discomforted. I mean, like think about how much time you go down here for gymnastics.
I'm with you on this one. I
The
think
sports are better.
uh,
Take him.
s-
I feel
sports
like
are better.
University Place Puckett is a good place for you.
Yeah,
You know,
but
you can hit up
I
you
find
can hit up
myself
the
at
hot
Beach
yoga
Tavern too
there with all
much.
the rich moms that don't work. Hot yoga,
Oh yeah,
they don't work. I mean, like that's kind of a rich area.
that's what I need.
Yeah, and
I
there's
need
a
all of that.
place there's a place you'd like called Lefty's Burger Shack because
Okay,
they have frings, which is a
what is that?
bag of fries and onion rings mixed together.
Oh Jesus. Do I eat
It's
that and then go to hot yoga and just gas it up?
I don't know. When we played Chambers, if we play Chambers, we usually swing by Lefty's Burger Shack and eat outside, double cheeseburger and frings.
Oh yeah,
Curto, he doesn't play, but he's like a burger snob, so
yeah.
he likes to go there. He'll meet it there, and you sit out. Like a lot of people just sit on the tailgate of their truck because it's a drive in. They have some
Oh yeah.
picnic tables, but sit on the tailgate of your truck and eat
Better than
burgers.
Frisco Freeze.
I think so. Other people argue they're building a new Frisco Freeze or like redoing it, but I think Lefties is better. Like Curto and I've had the argument. Part of the problem is with Frisco Freeze is you take so much time to get the burger that
Oh,
it's
it's
kind of cold.
forever.
Yeah,
It
and
is forever.
it just drives me insane. So I don't go there. I like Lefties. Um, there's another one that I like. Oh, they used to play out Hermie Burger, but it's not as good now. So Lefties is probably my favorite one.
You brought it up. So you brought up John Stanton. So I was there yesterday. As we record this on Wednesday, there for the Tuesday game, and was dropping off some stuff. I have to hand deliver stuff to Brad Adam, and then did a reunion with Ty France that was not. It was awkward, but less awkward. But
I
we
mean, like,
saw John Stanton there. Is he normally there? Does he normally kind of walk around, hang out in the clubhouse?
yeah, he will. It was kind of funny. You heard him tell Julio, "Just keep having fun. You're playing great. Are you having fun?" Because like he felt like it's,
Yeah.
he is like the crazy grandpa that walks around, or the
Okay.
crazy uncle, the disheveled grandpa look. And
You
so
better be
yeah, I mean
careful
he's
what
around.
you
He
say.
was in actually when we were in New York. We were in New York. He was there because they had the MLB owners meeting. So he was
Okay.
there, and Katie Griggs and Chris Larson and some of the main owners were there as well. But
So
yeah,
he's
he's around.
present. He's around
Oh, he's
the
always
club.
around. It's not like Howard Link. Howard Link was around, but I think he was kind of a germaphobe and didn't like people, so he didn't always talk to people.
So you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what did you? Okay. So what's going on? What's going on with like the ownership and the TV and streaming? Do you know what's going to go on with that? Like what the future is
No, and
of
I
like
don't think
whatever Root Sports is going to be?
no, I don't think they know either. I think because of what's going on with Bally and Diamond Sports and the trials that they're doing, the bankruptcy trial that they're doing right now, it's up in the air. And from what I've been told, like one of the reasons the Mariners didn't jump in with the MLB and MLB handle the production side of it is because they wanted to see how MLB would handle it. The reports haven't been great from what I'm
Hmm.
told. It's just kind of it's a typical Rob Manfred. Hey, we want to get into this TV thing, and they just do it half-assed, and they don't have a plan, and they don't,
That's so surprising though, because like all their content that they do,
yeah,
like digital content and their network, it's top notch, all of it.
yeah, and it's crazy. It's like you should just take the head of MLB Network and who's made that. I mean, like MLB
Right.
Central won an Emmy this year for their studio show, and it's fantastic.
It's the
I
best.
only wish like I could find a way to DVR it or they had it so I could just watch it. I can't get up that early sometimes.
Just DVR. Why can't you
I
DVR
don't
it?
have cable.
Oh, you don't
I'm a
have
cord
cable.
cutter. Yeah.
Oh,
So
look at you.
yeah, not by choice. I'm a house.
It's it's it's
I'm
the
a cord
best.
cutter because I've cut my apartment. I don't have a
Yes,
home.
you didn't
So
cord. You didn't cut cable. You cut living.
yeah, yeah. I'm basically living out of a suitcase. But no,
Lauren
like
Shahadi, yes or no?
yeah, yeah. Lauren Shahadi. She's like 6'2" though. She's really
Is she
nice.
really?
Yeah, she's tall. She's
She's
as tall
really
as
6'2"?
D-Row. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow,
So
I
those
didn't know
guys are
that.
really great.
They're awesome.
No, I just don't think the Mariners really know. I don't think the landscape for how MLB wants MLB wants to handle it is great. And I think MLB in some ways is looking at what's happening with this Diamond Sports and how it's going to work. Amazon floated the Diamondbacks that little bit of a lifeline, and I don't know that maybe they know what's going on with it. So like they can't. I don't think they can really make a hard and fast decision because they don't really know what's the best for them. And also, like, there is still some stuff about, like, I guess we call it terrestrial TV, like how the Kraken did it going
Yeah.
to on air. There's some guidelines that have to work around. You're going to lose your reach if you go with Kong or King. Like, and I don't even know if they can do that. And then you have all the local blackout issues and all that other stuff. Like, MLB and their policy with the local blackouts and streaming has made
Stupid.
it so much more difficult for fans to access it. Like if you could just find a way to make it available locally, maybe charge a different rate for it, but make that available, I think that solves problems. But the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs, their TV deals are okay. So they don't want to go away from that.
So
They
do you
don't want
think
it to be
there's an issue?
universal.
So do you think there's an issue in for Major League Baseball? There would be an issue for them doing something similar to what the Kraken did.
I don't know yet. I mean, like I've kind of asked, and we're supposed to be able to talk with Stanton a little bit. I don't know that it'll be on the record, but we're trying to get some background. Um, but I don't know that they can do that right away. There'd be maybe some approvals that would have to be done.
Okay.
Because like if you're certain teams, yeah, maybe that's the route you want to go. You're going to take a pretty big hit in projected revenues by doing that. You'd really have to sell the hell out of it. Let's be honest, like businesses here are getting hit up for sponsorships and corporate sponsorships all the time. It's whether they invest in it. So the Kraken, for them to be, viable financially, they're going to have to hit up a ton of businesses, them and King 5, to get the revenues they need.
Oh,
And if
sure.
not, or they're going to have to jack up ticket prices even more than where they're at. And hockey's already the uh, highest per price, tickets. And then when the NBA comes in, it's going to change it as well. So I think like I think part of the reason why we haven't gotten a lot is because I don't think the Mariners truly know what they can do with Root and how they want to proceed forward. They're trying to find the most viable. I've talked to people that they feel like the MLB broadcasts on some of these stations is just really bare bones, and
Mm.
it's just really basically it's like watching a Game Changer video with the quality. The mom puts the phone on the screen, and then if there's a foul ball that hits the screen, it gets a jar, and then of course like you have the mic on, and then the
Picks up the
one,
random conversations of
yeah,
mom and
or
dad
yeah,
bitching and
yeah,
moaning about what's going on.
yeah, they're largely racist at times or really just cruel. And then you got the one mom that just screaming
Largely
everything.
racist.
Yeah, like it's amazing. Like I live my life on Game Changer
I
because my
love
my
Game
my
Changer.
niece plays fast pitch down in Colorado. And then, my girlfriend's son Tyson plays baseball back in Montana. So I'm using Game Changer a lot to watch it. And the dude that came up with that and how you can
Unbelievable.
have the box score go with the video and everything, guy's a freaking genius. That's who MLB should hire. MLB
Yeah.
should hire the guy who created this
I
Game Changer app and put it and have him run
well
their
remember the
MLB
Mariners
production.
kind of did a Game Changer like broadcast in
Yeah,
spring training. I mean
they're
that
going
was
to do
very
that
game
more next. They're going to do that more next year. It was a
Game
test this
Changer
year.
like, wasn't it?
Was that?
That was very Game Changer like. It
Yeah, I
was
mean,
kind
because
of the
they
same
they use
model.
two cameras, I think,
Yeah.
maybe two. So like, I think what they're going to do is they're going to be able to do more of those next year. I think that's the plan. And because like roughly it's like $70,000 maybe a
Mm.
game to televise a spring training game with all your cameras, your production truck, everything, getting everybody in there. Whereas like these other ones, if you get the cameras, you know they they used Arizona State students that were in the at the I can't remember, it's they're
Cronkite. Is that the
yeah, the
Cronkite
Cronkite school,
journalism?
yeah. So they got those guys in there, and I mean, like, get those people in there working some, making an internship or pay them, but it's significantly more than, and it's a very cheap way of going with unionized labor that's working down there on a contract or whatever.
It's
I
the
think
way
it's,
media's done, Ryan.
yeah, I know,
Cheap
yeah,
labor.
yeah. I mean, like, it's like the Rainiers used to use the Bates Technical College kids to work it for credit or for
Yeah.
pay. Like that's the way they'll do it, and I think it'll be viable to the point where next year they'll have every home game, televised in some way. There may be root games, but I think you'll be able to watch on the live stream every time. They just needed to figure out how they needed to make it work, how many cameras they needed, a
Yeah.
producer, everything else, and I think you'll see that next year.
Don't you just think that Major League Baseball will just end up lifting the blackout
I mean, at
or
some
the
point,
MLB TV stream and just say, listen, if you want to watch it that way, just sign up for that?
at some point, I think they will, but like, again, the Dodgers and Yankees, Red Sox, they own their, Dodgers don't own theirs, but they have a pretty sweet TV deal with Spectrum. But the Yankees and Red Sox own their networks, and they still get real money. In New York, like they have such a reach that people still have cable or direct TV or whatever. So they get those subscriptions. So until like, Comcast or DirecTV totally hoses those networks and puts them on a different tier or whatever, and some people are just willing to pay, that's the difference. The population base allows them to do that because they have so many more people in that city, in that viewing area that are willing to spend because that's what they want. Think about how many old people are in the LA area that want to watch the Dodgers. You know, that's just the way it is. And
Yeah.
so I don't know how they're going to make it work, but ideally, if they can find a model business wise to end the blackouts for streamers, they will do it. But I guarantee you this: it will not be cheap to get the streaming package to have your local team. It'll be jacked up. It's not like what do you pay, like 120 a year for the out of market streaming?
Yeah.
Like it'll be over that to get your in market
Oh,
streaming,
for sure. I
and
was
it'll
thinking
be
it'd be like three
flooded
hundred
with,
dollars.
yeah, and you'll have plenty of, and you know what? On some level though, $300 over 6 months, it's $50 a month. and it's mobile. You can take it anywhere. You can
Right.
watch it in the gym. You're not beholden to and I think that's what people
I'm not going to
forget.
watch it in the gym, but
Yeah, I
maybe
know.
others will.
Well, hot yoga and
You
hot
think I
yoga
could
and
bring in?
university plays.
Should I bring in? Should I bring in the phone and hot yoga?
Yeah. Yeah. Namaste. Namaste
Yeah,
here and
you
watch the
son of a
Mariners.
bitch, Rayleigh.
So I don't know. I don't know that they're gonna, and that's tough for. We have friends that work for Root, and they don't know, you know. But like that's the thing too is like if you go in that direction, you're cutting down your pre and your post a lot. Um, like they don't have the Mariners magazine show anymore and stuff like that. Like this, we've talked about it before. This is the nicest group of guys I've ever covered in terms of like good people,
The
good to
players
deal
you're
with.
talking about, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then like great in the community and just real generous. And then the Mariners and Root cut the magazine show, so you don't even get some of the personalities. Now, granted, like I've seen Angie turn a double play at second base 10 million
But
times in
see,
my
I
life.
miss that. See, you
Yeah,
mock it. You're mocking it. I miss it. I
yeah. I mean,
miss her. I miss her taking infield and turning double
no, man.
plays.
Like right now, Angie's looking like a freaking second baseman. She's like all and she's looking great. So, I
Unbelievable.
mean, like I don't know. I think it's funny we talk about this with MLB.com where they don't write very many stories anymore, features. Like
No,
they find a way to feature these guys. It's like the Sauce last night. I'm gonna write something about Sauce and how funny he was, and like but Stanek, I had a great interview with Stanek talking about how much he hated the Mariners and like this and that and how weird it is. But they don't you pay the money and you want to part of the way you get people in and bring people in that the casual fan is by humanizing these players and making you like them on a different level besides their performance. That's why, like, when the Sonics left and in that year, and we're seeing this with Oakland, they make it as impossible, as much as difficult as possible to tell stories on the team or make the team likable because they don't
right.
want those fans to come in. You know.
Yeah, exactly. You got. Yeah, that's the thing with like baseball. You got to give it more access. So
Yeah,
the
and I mean, there's
I don't
already
think
access
fans
enough.
have
There's
enough
already great
access.
access, but it's like you want to tell people these stories. Like I never understood football at the college level, and like how they guys can't talk and they protect everything, and these might say something. Who cares? Like I loved Lorenzo Romar when we asked him if freshmen are available. He says, "Well, they're on the team, aren't they?" And he said, right or wrong, Romar would say, right or wrong, all my kids believe that they're going to play in the NBA. Well, I played in the NBA, and part of the NBA is being able to talk to the
Right.
media, answer questions. He goes, if you can't answer questions from a person asking you about how you played, how are you going to answer a job interview question?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? He said it's just like part of, and like that's what it's like. I loved him for it. He's like, college is about learning, and it isn't just in the classroom. It's
Yeah.
experience. It's life experience. It's why he wanted to do the European trips to teach kids that there's a life outside of the United States and what the world is
Wow.
like. It's like it's just different, and I think MLB has got all these great guys and all these personalities. Find a way to make it better, but especially if it's your own company, like invest into your coverage to the point where like, because it's like newspapers sometimes. When you lose subscribers, what do? We lose subscribers and numbers are down. We cut people when you should be giving reasons for more people to subscribe.
Yeah. Well said, my friend. Well said. What did you make of last night's game? I mean, I don't know how they keep doing it. I really don't. They don't do anything for 6 innings.
Yeah,
And then the seventh inning comes and it's like a light bulb turns on and they're like, all right, I think we'll start playing baseball now.
it's
It's very
they
odd.
either that or they score like four in the first two innings and then don't do anything the rest of the way and just hang
Correct.
on.
Yeah.
Um, the one thing like when they kind of how they come back and stuff like you saw it in the Yankees, they just kind of keep playing.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, like they don't give away at bats per se. It's like the getaway day on the last day of spring training. You're up there swinging at the first pitch. Let's get the hell out of here. They go out and they just kind of keep playing. They play hard. I mean, it's something simple. We've talked about it before, but like Julio running hard to first base on a swinging bunt
Yeah.
causes problems. And so, I mean, when Haniger
But
got
stop there. But see that's a good lesson for like anybody. It's
yeah,
like that's why you bust your ass up the first baseline
yeah,
because of a play like Bregman last night because he's got to rush the throw and then you're safe.
yeah. I mean, like
If he lollygags, he's out.
yeah, and like, it's. Luke Rayleigh runs that way every time, so it's
Yeah.
contagious a little bit. I'm not expecting Garver and Haniger when they hit the 7 hopper to the second baseman and they know he has it. Like, I'm not expecting them to go balls out because that's just eyewash. But like on the 50-50 ball or whatever that you're hitting, or that it could be trouble, especially if you're Julio, yeah, you go. And I mean, like, that's the one thing is that kid plays hard every day, no matter what. He tries his hardest. They're, again, like I've seen him hit a routine ball to the shortstop on 2 hops and the guy's standing there and flips it over. Yeah, he's not flying, but like when it matters, he goes. And it's not the Cano thing, but it's just kind of smart. That's how they do. They just keep playing and they figure it out. Like when Henry got the double last night, I knew they'd find a way to score that run. I mean, you get the leadoff double on, and I know Presley's good, but leadoff double, how they did it, I didn't exactly expect it. But when it was first and third and JP was up, I'm like, he's their best contact guy, and he struck out of all things. But
Yeah.
Rojas comes up with a big hit.
I
So,
wasn't as confident as you, especially when Bliss couldn't get the first 2 bunt attempts down.
and
Because I didn't think he'd be able to battle back and get a walk.
as I've told people, and Ryan Bliss bunts, like he practices it,
He
but like
almost had the second one. It was almost
the
there.
success rate of getting a bunt down in the big leagues when you've actually put it out there and you offer it, it's 30%. 30%.
I
That's how
still
hard,
like it. Stop yelling at me. I still like it.
because it's how hard these guys throw, and like they make it difficult. And so, no, I was great at bat. I mean, I think everybody recognized right away that when he worked the walk, it was like, yeah, man, that's pretty cool. That really kept it going. It's a big at bat, and then you know, and then they set it up first and third, and that's I think we're seeing them win some games that maybe they would have lost 3 and 4 years ago to the Astros, especially.
Yeah.
Like the Astros had their number. Now they're winning these games, and with the collection of guys that are different, it's not they're continually kind of gain confidence in these games.
Hey, but what is like when you look at like the standings? Do you give when you check the standings out and you evaluate teams? Do you give much like thought to run differential?
Um,
Does that like when you look at run differential, what does that tell you about a team? Because if you look at the M's, they're -4.
yeah,
And like every other division leader is like, it's probably, I want to say, plus 70 or more, or at least
yeah.
plus 65 or more. What does that tell you about them?
Well, I mean, it kind of just tells us what we already know is that their offense isn't very good. Like that they haven't leveled up to where they should be. And I guess for me, that tells me that if they even get slightly better, then the run differential will change because the pitching's been good. And the pitching hasn't been elite the last 4 weeks. It's been good, but it hasn't been like it was the first month. So I think if you can just get the offense up, the run differential will change. And the part of it is too is they played a ton of close games. They never stretch leads because they're not that team. Well, we could see it some more, but over the last week, I think the last 10 days, the Dodgers are averaging 3 runs per game. They've had a negative run differential the last 10 games. It goes in cycles, but I mean, like you look at the standings and you're like, it's pretty crazy that they're leading now, and they haven't really even. I don't think we've said they played collectively well for a 5 game stretch, even 10 game stretch. It's always been very glaring issues, even when they're had their
But
most success.
does that style wear on you? Wear
Well,
on
it
a
wears on
team?
you mentally, physically, and mentally. I mean, like your relievers, and you're just. I mean, Scott Service is like a president. He's aged about 4 years in like the last 2 months, but I'm sure he's going to love that one. Um,
Well,
that's.
he doesn't. If he listens, then
But I do
that's a
think
problem.
like playing like this because the 22 team played like this a lot, and then when they got into the postseason and they played the Blue Jays and those games are kind of crazy, didn't really phase them. They just kind of
Yeah,
kept going.
for sure. I mean, I the way, I mean, you would agree with this. The way they play suits them for the postseason.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
they play a postseason style of baseball in the regular season. It's like in this sport, you need to play 2 different styles, like regular season baseball and then postseason baseball. So there's no doubt that the way that they play and the way they execute late in games and all of that will no doubt benefit them once they get in the playoffs. They got to get there first, to execute said game plan.
Yeah, I mean, I still think I look at the Astros and although their pitching is really banged up again, I still think that they'll make a run again. They were 12-5 coming into this in their last 17, and they still hit. So I think they'll make a bit of a run. But
What do you
um,
think? And you get a feeling with these guys that that they'll add something at the deadline. That they're going to be like aggressive on a move.
with the Astros,
Yeah.
yeah, they'll try to be. They don't have a very good farm system, so it'll be difficult for them to add. Kind of same with Texas has a good farm system, but they can't. They have payroll limitations. They need another reliever, and so I mean, if they didn't have payroll limitations, Jordan Montgomery would be on their team, and and so it's like we'll see. The Mariners need to add too. I just don't know where they're going to add at this point, like because it'll change over time. I still think they need a reliever. Santos, I think, will be back first to, first week of July, maybe. Then we'll
Okay.
see. But I still think you'd be better off getting another reliever if you can. The last two nights have been great, but that seventh inning, I think the seventh inning when the starter comes out, usually, that area, they have the Mariners as a whole have one of the worst ERAs in baseball, and it's the starters and the relievers combined. Like the starters haven't been good in the seventh when they pitch there, and the relievers haven't been good, the ones they've
What's
used
the
in there.
what? Yeah, but what's the kid that you keep talking about?
Oh, Logan Evans?
Yeah, and he's in Tacoma.
No, he's in Double A, Arkansas, I
Okay, so
believe.
give me the story on Logan Evans again. Double A kid throws 100.
It's about 98, I think, right
Okay.
now, because he's starting. If he was closing, he would, or if he was relieving, he probably could bump it up to 100 because it's one burst. He's a really good starting pitcher, and he's probably one of their better ones coming up. I mean, like if you looked at him, from the younger standpoint, he's probably the next best one. Obviously, they'll use Hancock if there were an injury, but he's a guy that's pitching well enough now that if there was something that they needed, they might try him. But I do think that like where he's at conservatively and stuff with his development, if they needed a guy for just a half a season, they could bring him up and it wouldn't torpedo his development as being a starter in the future.
Yeah.
Um, but they could bring him up this year and pitch him and have him in the bullpen and use him that way. There are other guys like that they could do, but he's got the nastiest stuff. He's a guy that was only throwing 90s when he was in college, I think, low 90s, and now he's bumped up because of training and everything else, and
Yeah.
just focusing. You can do that, and I think obviously, like you don't want to hurt a starting pitching prospect, but I think we all know the Mariners will draft a starting pitcher this year in the first round out of college, and they've been pretty good about that. So I think
What's that jump like though?
from Double A to the,
Yeah,
I,
Double A to the majors.
I mean, we saw it with Baroa and some of these other guys. Kirby never pitched in Triple A.
That's right.
Gilbert pitched once in Triple A. Um, so I don't think it'd be crushing. I mean, the biggest thing will be him adjusting to a reliever role, and that usually they give those guys like 2 to 3 weeks where they kind of slowly build them into that. So if we see that they start doing that, then we'll know kind of that they may use him. But I think they're kind of waiting to see where Santos is and maybe what the trademark is looking like too. Problem is like so many teams are decent enough in the way that the third wild card shaking out. Most teams have a chance still. Not everybody trades their closer, when they're within a couple games of the wild card.
No, no one else does that.
Well, some do, but I mean,
How are they? Okay, so we're going to get to that deadline, and we're going to talk about this a bunch. But like, and I know we already have, but how just imperative is it this year? It's not just that whether they add whoever they add,
mhm.
bullpen, position player, whoever, that they just do something this year. And I'm not saying just do a move to do a move, but to do something this year for this core, this team that has, again, we can argue, is it poorly constructed what they did in the offseason? All of that. We can save that discussion for another time. They're 4 games over 500. And if they keep playing like this, there's a better than not chance they're going to win this division. But this group, ownership, front office, owes it to these players down in that clubhouse to do something. Like Mitch Haniger pins that letter on the Athletic, right, or Players Tribune. They owe it to those guys to do something. I mean, because you've covered baseball for a long time. When a I don't know if have you ever covered a Mariners team that made a huge impactful trade at the deadline?
Well, Castillo. That
Oh
was
yeah,
the big,
Castillo. Yeah, there we go. I knew that
yeah.
was.
And that was like crazy. It energized the
And
clubhouse.
that's what I was gonna say. What did that do? You were there. What did it do for him?
It energized the clubhouse. Everybody was like, this dude. And then when Castillo went out, that first start in Yankee Stadium and just shoved and they beat up on Garrett Cole, it was like, okay. It's just because it's like, you know, you just, it gives you confidence. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
we got a dude. You know, our pitching staff was already pretty good. Then you add this guy in, they're thinking, okay, all we have to do is figure out a way to score three or four runs and we're going to
Yeah.
win. And I think that's the thing. I mean, they know and they monitor and they see what other teams are going to do. You know, it's like last year when they traded Seawald and they brought these guys in. I mean, there were some guys that were frustrated because they felt like they could get Rojas and Canzone without giving up Seawald, but they also saw what the Rangers did going and getting Jordan Montgomery, and they go and get guys. And
Yeah.
so it's not just that. It's not just seeing what you add or don't add, but it's what everybody else adds is really kind of the thing.
I
So
just think it's this. It just sends a sign, I think, to those
that
guys
you want to win.
that you want to win. And I think that the players probably still down there, I think, question whether or not they truly want to win.
Oh yeah, I mean like Haniger and Dylan Moore lived through the Kendall Graveman trade, and they lived through
Yeah.
they were there for that, and and so to me, and also it's not just the players that have been here for a while; it's the players that you want to keep here for a while. Like, how do
Right.
you tell Cal Raleigh or Logan Gilbert or George Kirby, hey, we care about winning, we want to extend you because we think you're a part of a nucleus to
Yeah.
win a World Series, when you don't do anything when you have the moment? That's the thing, is like this window that they have right now again is really good, and they're leading the division, early. And I remember last year they had let it late, but you felt like they didn't give that team enough help last year to reward them for
That's,
the August, and
that's a
because
great point.
all the stuff happened after August, and it was kind of, I think sometimes the mindset was, "F you, we'll do it ourselves. If you're not going to help us, we'll do it
Right.
ourselves." But like, yeah, how do you sell this organization and this franchise to somebody that you want to keep around? And I don't think they're going to be able to keep all three, but even if you can keep one, you have to show them, besides just opening up your pocketbook, that you want to win.
Yeah. It's a great point. All right. Well, we'll cut you loose. You're wonderful today. You were passionate. God, you brought some energy today. I
I
just love
did.
it. Yeah, you did. You just
I only had 1 Celsius so far. I need a second
yeah,
one.
you just did great. This is the type of stuff. Hey Reggie, if you're watching, you're listening, this is what you pay for. There at Chalet Bowl. This is what you get. You get this with Ryan Divish, episode 125. All brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941. Now book your reserve your lane right now at chaletbowl.com. All right, you stay out of trouble the rest of the day, and we'll talk to you next week, sir.
Yeah, sounds good.